Welcome to season 2 of Soul Empowered Insights. I'm your host, Christy Callahan, a soul empowered life coach, Reiki healer, and intuitive teacher, and so much more. I'm here to help you awaken your intuition, elevate your energy, and step into your highest potential. Every episode is a journey with spiritual wisdom, energy healing, and conscious living, designed to support you to live authentically, manifest your dreams, and embrace limitless possibilities of your soul's path. In this space of deep conversations and energy shifts and soul expansion, we will dive into deep conversations, guided practice, and transformative insights. So I'm here to help you break through your limitations and reconnect with your divine power. So together, we'll explore spiritual wisdom, energy, and magic of conscious living. So you, my love, can create a life that feels fully aligned and empowered. So take a nice deep breath, open your heart, and let's dive in. All right, welcome to season 2. I cannot believe we're here for season 2, and I am so excited to bring along my very first guest, and her name is Jenn Cohen. Jenn!
Hi.
Hi! I just want to tell you that I met Jenn, before I give her an introduction, I met Jenn 3 years ago on this journey. And I just feel like in divine timing, we just are crossing paths to share our beautiful gifts. So I just can't wait to dive in. And just thank you for saying yes to being part of this journey. So Jenn, has been captivating the power of intuition. She is the queen of intuition, and we're going to dive right into that. And this came after a life-changing experience in her 20s. She explored how intuition could shape her life and her career. During her 27 years in the entertainment industry, holy cow, Jenn found that her intuitive decisions often led her to her success. She now uses those gifts as a consultant and a channel. She helps individuals and organizations unlock their potential. She helps them gain clarity, and she just helps them clear the goals in a practical, intuitive-based way. So how just awesome is that? Her work just fosters growth, creativity, and purpose in both personal and professional realms. So Jenn, I am again so honored to have you to be my first guest of this new season after just experiencing such a powerful session with you this week. And we're going to get into that. But I'm just excited to introduce to my community your gifts.
Oh, thank you. And it's so good to be reunited with you. It doesn't feel like 3 years. It feels like 3 months. And it also feels like we have grown so much since those 3 years ago.
It's just been an expansion and growth, right? It's it's interesting how you meet the people that are aligned or going through similar experiences in that time.
Yeah.
And then here it is again, full circle.
Yeah, it's like we were on the same vibration and in the same space 3 years ago, and then our journeys took us to where we need to be today. But then when we got to that same vibrational point, it's like, boom, here we are again.
Here we are again. It's like, yes.
Yeah. It really puts in perspective, you know how they say like there can be friends for seasons, and you know, those seasons are beautiful. And so it's our season again.
It is our season. It's so exciting. I just got chills. I'm like, yes, it is a season. So just talk to me about, where your journey has led you. I know intuition is so important to you, and I know you've had life experiences that have been maybe your awakening or everybody has a moment where you're awakened to something that's beyond grasp or something, your gifts or your intuition. And you said something happened in your 20s. And I feel like it kind of could keep happening and growing. But just tell me,
Sure.
how did that experience unfold
Sure.
for you?
Yeah, it was my literally second day of my junior year in college. And I was 20 years old, and my dad suddenly passed. And the night of his funeral, I was obviously really devastated, and I was on his side of the bed of my parents' bedroom, and it was complete darkness, and I was just kind of calling out. And and after I called out, the light next to the bed, which was off, turned on and off and on and off. And I literally said, "Dad, is that you?" And right on command, the light went on and off and on and off. And from that moment on, there was just a knowing that there was something beyond. And through my grief, I was very stuck in the anger portion of the grieving stage as a 20-year-old, and really mourning for the milestones of
Mm,
the father-daughter.
yeah.
And in that, I didn't understand what I was doing at the time, but I just said to my dad, "You're going to be in charge of my profession. You're going to be in charge of
Oh,
my career. You know, that's how I need to feel safe in this part." And he took that on readily. And what that did is it really allowed the worry, the critical mind of our brain to just settle down, because I had experienced something so profound that my intuitive self was just like, okay, like you're not going to need to worry about this. Of course, there'll be hard work along the way, but your dad has this and you're never going to be in need. You're
yeah.
always going to be taken care of. And that's really how the journey started. It was unknowingly understanding what I was doing, but it was so comforting. And he has shown up with signs, and all the way to leading me to leaving the entertainment industry and starting my own intuitive business.
Oh my gosh. He's like your co-worker, right? He's working on behalf of the spirit realm and opening doors and when you finally quiet and trust, he's probably feeding you all kinds of information
Oh
and
yeah,
allowing doors to open. And what a beautiful gift. What
yeah.
Oh, wow. And it's similar because when you were speaking, I actually had a very similar experience. It was my father-in-law who passed, but for me, he was trying to reach me and I wasn't really ready asking for it. The lights were going off, the air conditioning was going off, and I was a little bit taken back from that a little bit.
Mm.
And I think that fear, and I think just talking about that, I think people have fear around, and it's that ego, like you said, it's that ego
Hmm.
mind. You have
Hmm.
to our ego, our mind wants to take control, it wants to drive the bus, it wants to not surrender and not really allow us to tap into our intuition. But it's interesting because I had a similar experience to that was like, oh yeah, it's like, hello. It wasn't
Yeah,
my awakening, but it was definitely experience that I knew that I was tapped in and
yeah,
something was very special.
right.
So,
And there can be resistance against that just culturally. So
yeah,
if you've been told, that that's something that is dangerous, that that's something, we talk about kind of the witch wound, and
yeah,
what our women sisters went through when they would pronounce and take claim and say that they were getting those messages, what happened to them.
yeah,
And so it makes a lot of sense that there might be some resistance if, that fear is trying to protect you. So
totally.
totally understand that.
Yeah, it's like that. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. That safety. And you're right. I
Yeah.
do feel it's just that witch wound, that things that is subconsciously in our subconscious mind that we're
Yeah.
unaware of.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just reading this book right now, and it's interesting because I feel like a lot of us are here on this planet right now, and I believe it to the core of my being that we're all here to rise together and have the choice to rise together. And if you're listening to this podcast, I know you are in the boat or you wouldn't be listening to this at this point. And I just truly believe that again, it's that energetic and that frequency that we're putting out. So the people who are in tune with this beautiful episode is it might resonate or it might be opening up to giving them permission to
Yeah.
trust their intuition.
Well,
So
that's the curiosity, and
yes.
that's your intuition.
So
So,
let's, I love it. I
yeah,
did
yeah.
an episode number 2 about intuition. So I really like, how do you know, like, what could be something that you can share with the audience that you know it's your intuition and not your ego? Like
Huh.
how sometimes we just don't trust that. So can you just offer some of your advice of like,
Sure.
yes, we all are intuitive, but how do we know what we're getting those intuitive signals?
Sure, sure. So I think most people have had the experience of intuition. It's a knowing. It's a knowing that doesn't have any kind of question attached to it because intuition doesn't speak there's no question attached to
Yeah.
intuition. It's a knowing, and we give language to that knowing. Knowing doesn't really have language. So it's this feeling in your body of just a real big expansion, your heart kind of opening up.
Mm.
And when you're not in that knowing, when you're in the ego mind, which is most of the time, because it's how we walk this earth, and it's not a bad thing. Um, but we have learned to overutilize that portion of our brain. And so what we're trying to do is balance it so that we're not stuck in this repetitive motion. We're not stuck in this cycle of continuing to do the same things over and over again, of self-punishment, of really burdening ourselves with thoughts of insecurity and with thoughts of self-flatuation. Like, I mean, it's just not where we're supposed to be. So when we can really tune into the nonverbal of our bodies, where when you're feeling your mind racing and you're questioning, and it's just, but if this happens and that happens and this happens, you're
Mm.
in your ego because your intuition only lives in the present moment.
Mm.
Anytime that you're thinking in the future, you're worrying. And anytime that you're thinking in the past, you're in anxiety. And so just coming back to that present moment as much as you can, and you can do this if you're grappling with a decision, you can just kind of like write out everything or speak out everything that you're thinking and worrying about, or that's
Mm.
having an impact on your decision. And then you can really kind of sink into your heart space and hear your heart saying, no, that's silly. Just move forward, you know? So that's a really brief overview, and then there's so many tips and tools that we can discuss too. But
I
that's the
love
general
that. It's
view.
just listening within
Hmm.
because we aren't taught that.
Yeah,
Maybe we know that coming into this incarnation, right? Because we
yeah,
are whole, we have all the answers, but we're not really taught how to slow down and how to feel. And I love that you said it is a feeling. It is a feeling.
yeah,
It's that heart-centered feeling. It's just putting yourself in a space for a few minutes and holding your heart and asking yourself those questions, those hard questions.
yeah.
Um, what is like another tool? So I know people are like, all right, Christy, I heard this, I know this, I am intuitive because I believe everybody has that GPS. What is like,
Absolutely.
and I love that you said just speaking out loud and just releasing any fears because a lot of those fears aren't true or they're illusions, right? The woulda, coulda, shoulda. But in being present, I heard you saying staying in the present, which is also another tool. But what would be, I know when I heard you say like the journaling, but if you have somebody that's still a little skeptic or like, okay, I I know what I need to do, but how can I like push it into the next action? How am I
Yeah.
going to get that feedback? Because we live in a society where we want that instant gratification.
Sure,
So, is
sure.
there a
Yeah,
tool that will just allow you to have that trust?
yeah, yeah. And here's the tricky thing about when we talk about intuition is that the steps sound so simple that we brush them off.
Yeah. Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, And simple doesn't always mean easy because
Mm,
we're breaking patterns, and we're
mm,
breaking patterns that things need to be hard. You can only achieve, greatness through hard work, you
yeah.
know, and we're just not in that time anymore. We've come such a long way. We've evolved through that. And so, I always like to say intuition has absolutely no reason to protect you. It's not here for smallness. And so this is going to sound very
Yes.
simple, but nature. When
Yes.
you step out into nature, wherever you are, where even if it's just park in the grass with trees around, that's nature. But for me, it's the ocean, it's the
Yeah.
mountains. And look at that greatness. Look at the
Mm,
greatness of a flower budding out of soil. I mean, look at fruit ripening on a tree. Look at the hummingbirds. Look at the massive ocean. Look at these mountains and these trails. That is greatness. And when you can be out in nature, and I think most of us feel this, there's an opening. There's
mm,
just a receiving of Mother Earth.
mm,
There's a receiving of this beautiful, amazing miracle that we get
mm.
to be a part of every day. And when I'm out there, if my mind will start to question, okay, well, what are you going to do later? And what about that problem? And
Yeah.
how are you going to clean that spot on the
Right.
carpet? Like, I mean, just like it's trying to get you out of there because it feels different and it's not bad. It's trying to protect you. It's saying,
Yeah.
don't go where you've never been before.
Right.
And you have to remind it, I'm this age now. I don't really need that protection, Thank you. I appreciate you. And how I get out of that, our dear mentor Sonia taught us,
The
which
barking dog.
yeah, the barking dog, is to focus on three things and just name them. I see rocks. I see a beautiful oak tree. I see a yellow flower in my path. And that instantly gets you back into the present moment.
Yes.
And that's where your intuition lives.
Yes. Thank you for that reminder. I forgot about
Yes.
that lesson. I see this, or even in
Yeah.
right now, you can pause and say, I see this, I see this.
Yeah.
And it just brings your energy back to you.
Yeah.
Because we're
Yeah.
always, it's like we're giving our energy away, and our mind wants that energy, wants that control. It's that barking dog that
It
our
is.
lovely teacher would say.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, thank
Absolutely.
you. And I think, just listening to you explain nature, I became automatically grounded and present because I was visualizing, the vast ocean and how abundant and how like miraculous it is. Or if you're walking through the woods and trees and all of a sudden you just feel like the trees are talking and speaking to you and getting you grounded, but also there's the same thing of keeping you grounded and present, but it's also allows you to get into your higher mind, which is a higher frequency, which is where you are going to get the information. That's
Yes.
where your information lies, right? It's
Absolutely.
the silent, quiet whispers within, as I always say. It might be one or two words,
That's right. But it
but
opens up a whole new world.
it can be
Yeah.
one word, and that right there just opens up. But you're right. If you're getting
Yeah.
the laundry list and what you have to do this afternoon, and if you're thinking about the conversation you had yesterday with your sister or whatever, then
Yeah.
that's not your intuition.
Right. It's trying to pull you right out. And, intuition, it's not our job to hunt down our intuition. It's really our responsibility to, put ourselves in a place to hear it.
Oh, I
And
love
that
that.
and that's why nature is so powerful. So powerful.
Yeah, I think that's a first step to just unplug and, just step out in nature, getting your feet in the sand. Oh, I'm ready for
Yeah.
a beach vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet. I bet.
Oh, so thank you for that, Jen. And I know it's going to land somewhere because that is a question that I get that people just can't grapple with or really understand if they're not in that moment. It's just really getting yourself present in the present. Present.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, So I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about this channeling because holy moly, I am still just processing and integrating the channeling session I had with you 2 nights ago. So, um, I reached out to Jen, a little backstory. I guess last week or 2 weeks, she came across and she said, yes, she's here. And then she offered me, and I received this beautiful channeling um, session. And I was moved to tears. I feel like it was so humbling and so healing, and it broke open. And as we're going through this healing journey, we always have little pieces. It's never ever over, right? We're
That's
constantly,
right.
and I think we talked about this, we're always growing and evolving. And when we met each other 3 years ago, we were at one stage of the onion. Now we're in a different layer of the onion, right?
Yeah.
And who knows, it's going to continue to unfold as we work on ourselves and as we trust on our intuition. So, I just have to say thank you for that. And then I want to tell the listeners in my community, like, how did that come about? How did you step into this channeling? And um, what does it feel like? I guess my question is, like, how did this unfold for you and allow you to step into this beautiful gift?
Well, thank you. And you said a key word when you were describing your channeling is receiving.
Mm,
And it takes that relationship between me and whoever I'm channeling for. If they're
yeah.
ready to receive, then you get the results that you got. And that is for me a releasing of control. And that
Mm,
is for me not being harsh on myself if something might not land with someone else. So it's been a real journey of not perfectionism
yeah.
and releasing and trusting that. So that just, I just wanted to say that because you held up your end very, very beautifully. And
Mm.
so, I just want to mention that because it was admirable and I just enjoyed our time together so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I just enjoyed it. I just was open and ready to receive. And I think there is a readiness to that, and I think as we might have talked about this with your channeling and your gift, it's almost people aren't going to receive the message if they're not open and ready to receive.
that's right. With anything,
With
with
any
anything.
with
Yeah,
anything, with
yeah.
Reiki healing, with anything,
With
right?
anything,
So I
with
think there
anything.
is a part of readiness and divine timing. And for whatever reason, it was time for me to hear those messages
Yeah,
that came through so clearly and so beautifully. And just how does that feel? How do you get the
sure.
messages?
Yeah,
How do you know if it's a dog, a grandmother, a spirit, or collective consciousness? Is
sure.
there a difference between the
Yeah,
energy
there
that you
is.
feel?
There is. So I'll back up in when I left my job in the entertainment industry, I would say that I was probably 2, 3 years I could have left earlier. And all of that was, the ego mind and the scarcity mind and all of that. And yeah, and that's normal. That's what I needed. That's the pace that I needed to go for. Once I made that decision and got out of it, my dad came to me very, very clearly on Valentine's Day. And that was always a
Mm.
big day for us. And of
Oh,
course, the heart. Yeah. And he came through to me in automatic writing form, where I filled up 3 journals in the span of 4 days. And I didn't know what the heck was happening, but I knew that it was coming through me. And it was kind of a blueprint for what was to come and for what my journey had led me to, and the opening and the courage that it took to really take this leap, and knowing that it was supported by him.
mm.
And so I really dived into that. I had moved into my home that I had purchased years before when I was still living in New York. Again, a guided experience, and it was kind of my eat, pray, love. But it was
Yeah.
really this home was my healing space, and it
Mm,
was quiet. And coming from Manhattan, it was such a beautiful silence that I needed. And
mm-hmm,
I could hear really clearly the difference between my chatterbox monkey mind
mm-hmm.
and again when my body would kind of relax and I would want to dance and I would want to, write and just felt joy and rejuvenation. And that was my intuitive side. Again, lots of tears, lots of unraveling,
Yeah.
lots of that. But when I became clear and when I also gave up a lot of the shame and a lot of the fear around telling people that I could channel, and a lot of the fear around posting about it so that
Yeah.
ex-coworkers, didn't think I was
Yes.
crazy. Once I understood that I was keeping a tether to these people that were judging me, I was going to
Mm.
continue to judge myself.
Yes.
And so when I could finally get to the releasing point of that, and again, it's a process, but it's doable and it happens pretty quickly once you commit to it. I could tune in to my guides and my angels and how I hear it, because there's different ways that people can channel. Is it's almost like an earpiece, like you would hear, like you would see on the news or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, where
Yeah.
like the producer is kind of feeding lines into the talent. And
Yeah.
so again, coming from the entertainment industry,
I
that's
know. It's like
how I
I.
think. And so it's like when I get into that channeling space, that's how I'm hearing it. It's an energy from the person that I'm channeling for. They ask the questions. Sometimes there will be questions back and forth, and I'm tuning into that collective, and I'm tuning into the energy of the guidance coming through. And I can feel that in my body if they're
Oh,
extremely anxious to, and I don't mean anxious in the way that we experience anxious, but excited, I should say,
yeah.
to deliver this message. Like, oh my God, I've got your attention. Finally, I've been really trying
Yes.
to get your attention.
Yes.
Bella,
Yes.
Bella was like,
Ready.
yeah, she asked me to just confirm how you were celebrating her every day, and
Yeah.
then she was really adamant about being physically closer to you, and then sometimes there'll be trepidation with people, and I am only tapping into the highest, most loving energy.
Good.
So there's
Felt
nothing
that.
scary there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
that's
just
how I
love to
show up.
hear your perspective because you literally, what I witnessed on my end, it resonated with 100%. And it brought up emotions and release. And I felt that love. It's almost when you feel that love, for me as an empath and an intuitive and just a sensitive being, you feel it. It's like you
Yeah.
um, translate that. And it
Mhm.
almost as if you are like having, from my perspective, like an out of body experience. It's like Jenn is not here. You are just a portal or like what you said, like that earpiece, and it
Yeah.
just comes through you. It just streams like, and you almost like shift your voice a little bit as if it's not even Jenn. It's like you stand out of the way. It's actually amazing. It's like you physically, Jenn Cohen, aren't here.
Yeah.
And you almost just are a receiver, like you were just receiving the message and it just streams through you like no, like any other channeler. It's actually a beautiful gift.
Thank
um
you.
you just channel and it's like wow, and it's stuff that no way that Jenn Conan would know. I mean, it is obviously a message that comes through that needs to be, that lands whatever um the receiver, the client needs to hear. So I'm so grateful. I honestly am still integrating the beautiful messages that came through.
Oh,
um
thank you.
because I have questions too. Like I know I'm establishing relationships with my own guides. So I think you just gave me some clarity of like, or confirmation, like, yes, they're here and this is what they're doing on your behalf. Um in the spirit realm through the highest and most beautiful, loving way.
Oh, thank you. And you just described what intuition feels like perfectly. Perfectly.
Yeah,
Perfectly. That's it. It's just that knowing. And
it
I
is.
it's knowing without that critical thinking.
It is. So I think
Yeah.
we are moving into a bigger, greater collective consciousness on this planet. I just know it. I feel it. I see it. I trust it. And I think, our paths did not cross by any coincidence whatsoever. It is just the time right now that you are here to just, I can't, I mean, my intuition and my abilities are saying you are just starting. It's like you're on this preface of like, okay, I got this. I don't even know if you could see it, but you have like guides around you right now. You've got like this. Can you see it in your
Yeah.
mirror?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
they're here. They're like,
Yeah.
hello.
No, no, absolutely. I call them in every time that I sit down and discuss. And, that's again another tool that you and I know very well. But
Yeah,
they're just they want you to call them in for
they
anything.
do. And you're right. They are excited when you finally recognize them and just with the signs and the synchronicities, because we're just not taught. It's a
Yeah,
process. And I
absolutely.
think what I've heard you say, it is a process and it doesn't have to be hard, but sometimes it does just to crack open
Yeah,
all those limitations. We could talk about limiting beliefs. I feel like that's kind of an overused term, but it's true. It's beliefs that aren't true. They're
that's right.
beliefs that are passed down from people who love and care for us that just may not have evolved enough to I don't know. They're speaking their truth. I'm not putting blame on anyone or
Yeah,
anything, but there are those hidden beliefs that aren't true.
that's right. That's right.
The
Absolutely.
those fears that you talked about, fear of standing in your power, fear of saying, yes, I am channeling. Yes, I am connected to my dad. I'm in this
Hmm.
fiery Aries
I
energy. I'm
love it.
like,
I
yes.
love it. Yeah, absolutely.
And there's
Absolutely.
something about freedom. There's some kind of freeing and empowerment when you finally do surrender.
Yeah. No, you nailed it. You nailed it. And our ancestors, what they felt that they needed to keep them safe, very true. It's very true for them. And I
Yeah.
always kind of come back when I start to fall into that because I do as well. But when you practice and use that muscle more, you're like, oh wait, let me just nip that in the bud. But remember when you were a kid and like you got dropped off somewhere and like you were just there, like you had to wait until someone picked you up, you know?
Right. You didn't have
And
like a cell phone going,
right.
bro, where are you?
Right, right. And you were just kind of at the mercy of somebody else picking you up. And I think our bodies really remember and hold that on certain things where it limits us from exploring and doing things. And if we don't want to be somewhere, we can leave. We
Yeah.
can, at this age, we can get ourselves out of there. I mean, kids now can call an Uber, but
Right.
but we couldn't do that at our age. But it's just reminding yourself very gently, like, I totally hear you. You don't want to be stuck somewhere waiting for someone, to run their errands and then be on their timeline. But it's just like, but we don't have to feel that way anymore. And we don't have to protect ourselves from experiencing new things.
Yeah, and I love that. And I think the more we heal ourselves and the more that we put ourselves first and the more that we notice and because these patterns will keep coming up and you
Yeah.
kind of said it, you don't stay in that spot. I like to observe it and say,
Hmm.
"Oh, it's not going to take over me. It's not going to wipe me out for the day. It doesn't have control over me anymore."
Right.
Because it's
Exactly.
still going to keep coming back because I feel like we're human beings. We decide we're spiritual beings living a human experience. It's going to keep
Yeah.
coming at us.
Yeah.
Our
That's the
soul,
game.
our souls came in to learn this, and it's going to keep coming back to be like, all right, are you sure that you really are going to have your power? And you're like, yes. Are you
Yeah.
sure that you trust yourself? Because these fears do want to keep creeping in, especially I feel like when you're cruising, you're like, boom, this something comes out, and you're like, wait, where'd that come from? I thought I
Yeah.
already healed that. But I think you said it's okay to sit with that and just love it. And go back to that inner child or that little kid waiting to
Yeah.
someone to pick you up. You could choose to be like, I'm going to sit with this. I'm going to get picked up. I'm taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Always.
I can drive myself now. I can drive myself wherever I want now. I have that choice. Yeah.
I love that analogy. I just love it. So, oh, I am just so blessed. I just to have you in on my first episode here and just to share this. I know it's going to land. And if you're hearing this, please check out Jenn and in her channeling sessions. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. She just has this way of just tuning in, and it's quite beautiful. It's quite emotional.
Thank you.
To the point where I channeled in my dog Bella Rose, and I have her here with me today just because she's kind of like your dad. She is my guardian angel, my keeper of stepping into my gifts.
Yeah,
So it doesn't
absolutely.
necessarily have to be a relative. It could be a friend from another life. It could be a pet. And people who are pet owners, you understand that unconditional love. So as we kind of wrap up here, just tell my listeners and my community, how do we get on your calendar? How do we book that
Oh,
session?
my website's probably the easiest, and I'll just say it here. It's Jenn with two N's, Jenn, Cohen, Cohen, intuitive.com. And if you want to email me, I'm happy to answer any questions. My email's on that website, but there you can book sessions through there. I've got memberships that really,
Oh,
yeah, that hit on, different levels of where you are in your journey with your intuitive self. But again, I just think it's such an important message, and happy to converse. I can talk about it for hours, as you can too, I know, Christy.
yeah.
But yeah, that's the easiest way.
Oh, so is there any parting advice that you would love to just empower the listeners around intuition or about just, keep going? I think we just are so hard on ourselves, and I think I keep hearing the word trust
Mhm.
coming
Yeah,
through, trusting our intuition because we all have it. Every single one of us have the intuition,
yeah,
right? We just
yeah,
don't have the tools or um yeah, the tools are we just allow that ego to
yeah, yeah.
stay in
It's
control.
yeah, yeah. It's corny. It's easy. Like it's woo woo. It's whatever. But I'm going to go back to the title of your podcast, and Soul Empowered, and it's empowering your soul.
Yeah.
And I like to think of our intuition as our first sense. A lot of people refer to it as the sixth sense, but I
Yeah.
really believe it's the first sense. When we are born into this world, it's what we are born with.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love that. I'm going to remember that. You're right. And I don't know about you, speaking of when you're born into the world, I mean, when you ever hold that baby, you just feel there is something magical
yeah,
those first weeks, months, that pure, that wholeness. That's who we are. It's
yeah.
never left us.
And we've all experienced it. You know, if you're not a mother, you had one. That's how
Yes.
you got here. But we have all experienced
Oh,
that.
oh, what a beautiful message to leave with these
Yeah.
readers. Well, readers. Listen to me. They know what I mean.
Yeah, that's right.
Listeners.
I bet they read too.
They read. I know. I have a way of just making stuff up sometimes. My kids are like, "Mom." I'm like, "You know what I mean."
That's right. Yep,
It's a
we do.
feeling, they understand. So,
Yep.
I want to thank you again for taking, the time out of your day today to share your message, to share your wisdom, to share your light. I mean, you are just literally lit up, beaming. And I'm going to just close out by, if this message did align with you, please check out Jenn. I promise you will not be disappointed. If you're ready to receive, just get on our calendar. I'm just so excited for her in this next stage. Who knows what will happen in the next couple of years? We'll circle back around again, and it's so exciting.
It's so great. Thank you for having me. What a joy.
All right. Well, for everyone listening, I thank you so much for tuning in to Soul Empowered Insights, and I'm sending you with lots of love and light and with all of your spirits with you, watching over every moment because you are intuitive. Bye for now.